The Shimbol TP MAX comes with these Panda Stickers, decals with a transparent bit of plastic around them, which I think is just meant to aid in alignment when applying the sticker, but the transparent bit comes off. Panda logo remains behind. Or leave them blank if you prefer. The transmitter and receiver, both, it's two devices making up the TP MAX, take an NPF type battery, or alternatively can be powered via USB-C. The ports are very clearly labeled, which I appreciate. The buttons are very simple, but these devices don't require much, if any, interaction. They're already paired, straight out of the box. You just turn them on, and they connect. So I'm going to try to use this TP MAX transmitter and receiver set, along with this field monitor, to try to film myself taking still photos. I don't really do a lot of that, because it can be a real detriment to enjoying the photo taking process, and I'm all about maximizing the quality of an experience. That is to say, I'm team process over product. But I remain totally open to the idea of filming myself. It just needs to be easy, and it needs to be relatively error-free. I can't think I got the shot, only to discover that I didn't, or I got something unusable. So if I can monitor the video while I'm taking the still images, maybe it could work. This is the graphic you see when you fire up the two devices and they're connecting. It takes about 24 seconds, which might sound like a lot. It's only a lot if you frequently turn them off. If you just turn them on while you're setting up and leave them on until you're done with the shoot, it's a very good experience, and that's definitely the strategy I would recommend. The battery life is outstanding on these. I accidentally left mine running in my camera bag for hours after I was done shooting. Battery was still going strong when I discovered it hours later, so definitely just turn them on and leave them on. Battery life is not a concern. But the TP MAX doesn't come with a battery, although NPF is a very standard battery type, which you can find anywhere. And I particularly love that type of battery because you can get really small ones that are lightweight, but of course have shorter battery life, or you can get gigantic ones, which are heavy but will last all day, or various sizes in between. It's just a very versatile type of battery. I wish my camera used NPF batteries. But the TP MAX does come with two USB A to C cables, so you can run the devices off of a power brick or plug them straight into a wall socket if you're shooting in studio. That's probably the preferred method if you're using them in studio, presumably, because then there's nothing to charge. Power bank. I said brick, didn't I? Whatever. Bank brick. Gotta say though, this is going better than expected. Filming myself. I mean, I don't like being on camera, but the process has not been frustrating. The TP MAX legitimately makes it easier. On the topic of latency, there is some. Just a little. Can't imagine why that would be an issue, but if it is for you, be aware there is some. But it's very minor. And if I were just using this product rather than reviewing it, I would kind of want it to disappear, not be in the shot. I'm going to keep it on the ground in front of me on a little tiny tripod. So part of the reason I'm succeeding in filming myself, when I have failed so many times before, is due to the product. But part of it is an attitude. I'm just more willing to go through a little extra work than I was, say 8 or 10 months ago. So part of it's the right attitude, and part of it's the right gear. And at the risk of being a complete shill, this field monitor I'm using is also fantastic. Made by the same company, Shimbol. It's the M5 Monitor. Very simple touchscreen interface. Bright, reliable, lightweight. I love it. Thin. No fan. No need for a fan, at least in my experience. Great battery life. I'm a big fan of these companies. Shimbol's not the only one. There are several that just make really good, solid gear at a very reduced price, very budget-friendly. And I am on a strict, tight budget. It's very helpful. But yes, Shimbol sent me this gear to review. When those opportunities come up, I usually decline. I only accept when it's something I'm actually interested in. I was trying to think of a way to quantify the amount of latency. Couldn't really think of a way of doing that. But I figured if it was low enough where I could play a video game reasonably well, then it can't be that bad. Granted, it did throw my timing off just a touch, but it was totally playable. So the latency is really minor. Now for some actually objective tests. I shot a bunch of video clips with movement, like subtle movement, like the wind blowing branches. And I played the clips back while my wife walked away with the receiver connected to a field recorder. And these are the results on the left. I just left them in a log profile, so they don't look washed out because of the TP MAX. That is the way they look straight out of camera. And leaving it that way just helped distinguish between the two sides of the frame. So the video started to get very choppy at around 120 feet. Stopped playing completely around 140 feet. It picked up again briefly, but then completely disconnected, never to reconnect. But maybe it's just not so great while in motion. So this is stationary at about 100 feet away. And it looks pretty good. And now 200 feet away. When it displays this switch Wi-Fi channel message, seems like it's telling me to switch Wi-Fi channels, but I don't see a way to do that. So I'm guessing it actually means that it's automatically switching Wi-Fi channels on its own. But it struggled a little bit at 200 feet. So I went home, or back to the apartment. But this is 300 feet. I did this in the parking lot of the apartment. And it's playing much better. I think it's because the transmitter was up on my balcony, much higher. And this is inside the apartment, transmitting through 3 walls, and I think it handled that very well. But I went back to that first spot, because I was afraid maybe I'd done something wrong. I wanted to start at 500 feet, stationary. I was using the larger NPF batteries, just in case power was a factor somehow. I don't know. But I couldn't even get the things to connect at 500 feet. 500 feet is 150 meters, by the way. But the claimed range is 1,000 feet, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So let's try 400 feet. At 400 feet they connected, but this is what I got. And don't be alarmed, your video didn't just freeze. I mean, it actually did freeze, but that is the result of the test, and we ran it 4 or 5 times. Got the same result every time. But look, I have no reason to ever have the device this far away from me. But you might, so I thought this test needed to be done. We know 300 works, so let's try 350. 350 works, but it ain't great. But it works. Kinda. Then it dropped down. Attempted to reconnect. Eventually did reconnect. But then stalled out again. But look, it's a very cool device. Very inexpensive. Does its job well. It's just not great at long distances. So don't get it for that reason, would be my suggestion. If you have it nearby or within a few hundred feet, it's going to work great. If you go much beyond that, it's going to get a little frustrating. And as a final test, I just confirmed that all inputs and outputs work simultaneously, regardless of how you power them. And yes, that all worked fine.